Welcome to the Daddyhood Rocks podcast with John Wolford and Brandon Miller. We are here to encourage you, empower you, and strengthen you so you can engage, level up, and have fun being a dad. We are going to have guests, deep conversations, hilarious stories, and insights that will give you the strength you need so you can be the dad you gotta be. And now, here are your hosts, John Wolford and Brandon Miller.
Welcome to another episode of Daddyhood Rocks. I am John Wolford, leading it off this time. This is weird. Brandon Miller, how are you, sir?
I'm doing pretty well. I'm really excited about this episode. So you might be thinking you're seeing double. It's my brother. He's 2 years older than I am, and I'm so excited to have him as our guest today. So yeah, I'm doing great. Happy to be. I always look forward to recording on Fridays. So this is my happy place.
Absolutely. I look forward to Friday all week. And Brandon, we've got to get to that interview, but some housekeeping things. First of all, the Adventure Challenge. I mean, what a great opportunity. We talk about it every week. Tell me more.
So many people that I talk to on a daily basis. I'm a mental health practitioner, and people are stir crazy. They're tired of being cooped up, whether it's because of cold weather or because of COVID. And so if you want to have some fresh ideas of fun things to do, either alone or with a friend or with your spouse, with your family, this is a great way to give yourself some fresh fun things to do. And you scratch off the challenge, see what it is. Once you scratch it off, you're committed, you got to do it. And I always tell my sons, hey, go play, but no smiling, no laughing. I dare you to scratch off a challenge on this thing and to keep from smiling and laughing. You're not going to be able to do it because it's fun stuff. It's just ridiculous. It's fun. It's memorable. And it's an opportunity to engage with your family or whoever it is you're doing this with, to level up and also to have fun. So I'd say go, if you haven't yet, go to theadventurechallenge.com and check out what they have to offer. They have a lot of different things that you can get. In, some of their Adventure Challenge books even include cameras. Super, super good stuff. Worth it. And if you choose to jump in, use the promo code Daddyhood, all caps, and you get a 10% discount. And it's just a great way to benefit you and your family, and also helps keep the Daddyhood Rocks podcast moving forward and improving. We want to keep on improving this thing. And so yeah, jump in, take a look, and do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, and buy some stuff from theadventurechallenge.com.
Yeah, I love Adventure Challenge and how they, have kind of gone across the board. We don't just have this family book. We have singles and friends and family and couples. And I mean, it's just a phenomenal opportunity as a whole, as a dad, as a husband, as a friend, to get out. And, we talk about engaging and leveling up and having fun being a dad. You can do that across your relationships, and the Adventure Challenge gives you that opportunity. So I'm excited for it as well. I'm also excited for tonight. We have your brother on. How crazy is that? You're not seeing double. I do want to say that to all of our listeners and watchers out there. You are not seeing double if you are watching this. It is Brandon's brother, and they are like 1,000 miles apart. So I promise it's not Brandon playing two roles. But Brandon, tell us more about Steve and, how much this means to you to have him on Daddyhood Rocks.
Well, my brother, I've always been, kind of the, tag along little brother, was when Steve would play with his friends. And as we got older, we were able to develop our own connection, our own friendship. And so there's just a special bond that siblings can have, especially if you've worked on it. And so it is incredibly special to have this honor to be able to have him on our podcast. He's done a whole handful of things. Most recently he's been in the education world in a variety of different roles. Excellent at what he does. He's won awards, and beyond that, though, he's just humble. That's one thing you'll see is he's humble. He's not pretentious. and he really doesn't speak too highly of himself, although he is excellent in every single thing that he does. But he's really just down to earth. So he's been in education, he's been a pastor, he's been in real estate. He's done a ton of things, but he's been the same across the board, and he's just an awesome human being, and I'm very honored and thankful to call him my brother.
Yeah, that's awesome, and I enjoyed getting to speak with him, and even on a personal level outside of the interview, just such a great guy. And so I'm really excited for the listeners to get over to him and listen to him. We're going to skip doobity doo right on over to Steve Miller.
Welcome to another episode of the Daddyhood Rocks podcast. This is Brandon Miller and John Wolfie Wolford, and I'm so excited. We're excited to have my brother Steve Miller here with us today, all the way from Wheatland, Wyoming. Steve, thank you for carving out time from really the beginning of your weekend to hang out with us. It's definitely an honor, and it's always fun to spend time with you, even though we're about 1,000 miles apart from each other. But always appreciate your wisdom and your insight and your humor, and also just your perspective. So thank you, Steve. Would you take a moment and introduce yourself and your family, and just kind of just a general picture of who you are, Steve?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, just thank you so much for having me, and it is great just to be able to hang out with you guys for a little bit. And been thinking a lot about daddyhood and just being a father, and it's a hard job, just like motherhood's hard, and there's certain professions that are hard, and so a lot of responsibility. And so to start off with, a father of two, I have a 17-year-old that's getting ready to graduate here, and so that's that awesome experience trying to help him make some choices, and we're prayerfully encouraging him to seek out God, and that's the backbone of this, parenthood for us, is that Christian perspective. And I know not everybody might have that faith base, but that's what we at least hang our hat on to. So he has one foot out the door, if you will. And then also there's pieces now that he's starting to realize, oh my goodness, that safety net is going away. So that's been a fun give and take the last probably 3 or 4 months. And it's becoming more enhanced now that we're talking scholarship applications and finalizing, exactly where he's going to go. And then on the flip side, I have an 8-year-old who is just expanding her social experience. She loves people, loves her, childhood friends, and loves unicorns, and loves, cookies swirl seed, and just.
So does John. John loves unicorns, so we're good.
I do.
Perfect. So so you can relate. That's awesome. So it's just one of those things that there's two very different children here, and they're very special. Of course, every dad's going to be biased about that, and so also just trying to support my wife Rachel, and she's an incredible mother, and the wisdom that she has is pretty special. And so we've had this journey where we first started out in a small town in northwest Colorado, moved over to Colorado Springs for 5 years. Then it was a family decision to be closer to Rachel's family, and we were in Pinedale for almost 10 years, and now we're in Wheatland. So we've been around a little bit, but there's still that backbone, bottom line, foundation. It's hopefully a Christian home. We want to be a Christian home, and we want to be family centered. So that's that in a nutshell. And again, we can say it all we want. Our first and most important thing is a relationship with God. Second is family, and actually second is marriage. Third is the children, and fourth is the job. Have I done that very well? Sometimes okay, and other times it's been unfortunately flipped where the job was first, all the way down to where God was fourth. And so that's that learning process, and hopefully leading by example that, I make mistakes, but also at the same time, every day is a brand new day. So you can start all over every day, and just by the grace, keep moving forward.
Love it.
Yeah, now an unscripted question. How do you refocus yourself back to keeping your priorities straight? You have these priorities, and they seem to be set in stone relatively. How do you focus in on those?
Well, that's such a good question. It honestly depends on the season. I think just like with jobs or relationships, there's those mountain highs and valley lows. And so sometimes that relationship, with Jesus is, a mountain high, and hey, priorities are good. But sometimes for whatever reason, priorities are business, or we're getting distracted with worldly things. It changes that. Sometimes it's getting knocked off your block, hitting rock bottom. And so that's been the case too sometimes, where it's just circumstantial, and then all right, I thank God you got my attention. And actually sometimes it's Rachel that gets my attention. Look, what's going on? And so so those two have been really good, I guess, lightning rods to hopefully get me back centered. So that's a great question.
So you've got this wide range of kids, and I think of only having my 10-year-old and only having my twins. That gives me anxiety. So how do you deal with Christian? He's about to finish high school, and then you got Zoe in elementary school. In terms of engaging in meaningful ways, how do you kind of switch gears so you can connect with each one of your children?
I think it's just really just paying attention to their needs or even their desires. Often, it's being very just trying to keen in on that. Of course, growing up, I would call, I would refer to my wife, mommy, to Christian. And but about a year or two, or actually several years ago, before Christian was in high school, he was like, "Mommy, really? It's mom." So just that little nuance of it's not mommy to me. But then Zoe still loves it when I call mom, mommy. So it's just that, okay, I got to switch. And I even catch myself when we laugh about it. Sometimes I'll talk to Christian and say, mommy, and I'm like, whoops, mom, and so we giggle, or, oh my goodness. And even like with Zoe, her name to me is Baby Doll. And so Christian was Bud, but now it's Christian, so it's that ever changing perspective from their parts, and growing up, Christian loved Legos and he liked Star Wars. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I mean, I can talk Return of the Jedi, but the rest of the family is the Star Wars, the Mandalorian, all that. So I try to find things that we can relate to, and so we'll talk about those. Same thing with Zoe. Okay, what makes her tick? So instead of them trying to conform to what I like, football or golf or let's go hiking, yeah, I'll introduce that, or even fishing. Zoe likes fishing. Christian has gone away from that, which is not a bad thing. So let's introduce and see if things stick. But more importantly, it's more outward focused to see what inspires them and try to enjoy what they enjoy as well. So I think it's easier that way when you're focused on that, so it keeps them separated. I don't really have to shift gears at all.
That's awesome. For you as a dad, going from day one as a brand new dad to now, how have you changed as a dad? How have you grown?
That was one question I did, show Rachel, and we both chuckled, and she said, well, you didn't even change diapers. You wouldn't even engage with Christian like that sometimes, or you were afraid that he would break. And so that was that. But then when Zoe was born, several years, there's that gap there. Yeah, you changed diapers, and you were engaged with that. So I think just that growing piece that you have to engage. Sort of like Top Gun, the movie, if you're going to win the battle, you got to be engaged. You just can't be on the sidelines. And so that's another piece of that whole thing of be involved and work at it and make it a priority. And so I think that is the biggest change, where I was so scared to ruin it that it was actually being detrimental. And then hopefully now it's okay every day, something has to be part of that relationship piece.
Now, unscripted question real quick, following up on that. So a lot of our audience, our intended audience, are those new dads, young dads who are scared like that, or maybe dads who, they just married into a family full of kids, or maybe they're fostering or adopting, but they're afraid of breaking their baby. What advice do you have for them in that moment as far as overcoming that fear?
I think really talk with your wife about it, honestly, and just be real. I tried to hide it. I was like holding Christian like he was a crystal vase and he could break. And yeah, Rachel on the sideline was like, okay, he's obviously struggling here, but if you can at least open up and be, transparent, like, I'm really nervous about this and I need your help, or, so maybe that could work. I didn't do that. So again, it's not practice what you preach at all, but it came to the point where either Rachel was sick or away from the house, and all of a sudden there's a poopy diaper, and if I don't change it, there's gonna be a rash, or there's gonna be a massive stink in the house. And so I know, okay, I got to do this. So let's just go ahead and figure it out. So it's almost like a necessity before that became more normal. So I guess that's part of it too, that just it's going to eventually happen here.
So trial by fire or trial by poop, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Can get really
we enjoy those trials by poop around here.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've kind of talked about your struggles at the beginning of Daddyhood. As you've begun to kind of grow and continued to grow, what do you see your probably three of your strengths? Can you give me those?
I think probably maybe a calm demeanor. Try to just stay right in the middle. Nothing gets too excitable or it's really hard to get angry. But I think that I use that. That's probably the meal ticket with that. Also, just from my teaching background in the middle school, I am goofy. I really am. It might not appear this way right now, but I'll laugh at myself, or I'll trip and fall, and it creates that atmosphere that we can have fun in the living room or even in the kitchen. We're cooking, and yeah, I tend to be the butt end of jokes, but it's not a disrespectful thing at all. We all just know that that's part of that gig where we try to have some fun with that. So I think that's part of that, just being able to have fun. And I do try, that foundational piece of my relationship with Christ. That's without that, this would have been a dumpster fire in a heartbeat. So those are probably the three areas, just to be very blunt honest with you guys.
Yeah, and I think we're real big around here, at least Daddyhood Rocks podcast, about building bridges. And I think that fun piece really builds bridges with your kids, being able to get down to their level and just see, hey, dad can have fun like we like to have fun. I think that's a huge bridge builder for your kids. So kind of to that same end, but not to that same end, flip it. What areas would you like to grow in?
Really being like the head of the household in regards to that spiritual side of things. I think that's critical. Yeah, we pray and, we do that, but, even more so having Bible studies or more in-depth talks about our faith, and even not the Sunday school faith, if you know what I mean, in the sense of, hey, I'm struggling with this, but I'm going to rely, on God for this. I'll ask Christian that. That's been the fun part, where I'm very sensitive to our family history with dealing with sadness, depression, whatever, and anxiety. So I'm very on high alert with our kids. I almost call them students because I talk about students all day long, but for our kids. So especially with Christian for the last 10 years, so I'm just going on a rabbit trail a little bit here, but I was always, how's your happy level? And so he's usually around 98. Between a 1 and 100, he's at a 98, and he usually is right around there. But if it gets down to even 92, I know there's something up, so then we can talk. But then along with that, though, is where's your spiritual walk, and so we both talk about that, and it's usually, there's never spikes. It's usually that slow path. It's a marathon type of thing. So I think that needs to be enhanced. To answer your questions, it's that walking 40 acres to get to the barn answer, but that's where it's at. It's really another piece, though, more practical piece, is really trying to be in tune to the needs of both of my kids, and then even, of course, with Rachel. Zoe's needs are a lot different than Christian's needs. Sometimes Christian likes that alone time, and he's more, introverted in some ways, but he does like people at times too, sort of really like me. How ironic. But Zoe is more social and has other needs too. And so I need to be keen on that as well. So I think that's a big thing that I really want to do, especially with the transition with Christian going to college. That's going to shift our relationship to not preaching at him or even, telling him what to do, but just trying to be more of an advisor or even a facilitator and still being able to prep him for, how cruel life can be out there in the real world compared to what it is right now in a relatively comfortable setting here at the house.
You mentioned earlier, Steve, that how you moved from small town Craig, Colorado, to Colorado Springs, and then to Wyoming, and then another spot in Wyoming. Moving is hard on individuals. Moving is hard on families. It's quite the adjustment. And so, as far as being a leader in your home, how have you helped? I know it's you and Rachel are like the ultimate tag team, and you guys really are strong together, relying on Jesus. As a family team, how have you helped each other navigate all these moves and making that as smooth as possible?
It hasn't been perfect, quite honestly. When we moved to Pinedale, it was pretty decent because Rachel's parents were there. This last move to Wheatland, just to be blunt honest, I failed miserably. I was so focused on the job. Rachel felt detached in regards of getting connected, and even our relationship, because I was so focused on trying to be successful. And so I blew chunks, just to be straight up honest. And so, but we're recovering in the sense of, let's talk about it for the next time we have to move. We're not going to allow this to happen again. We acknowledge it. I accept it. I own it. But now let's make sure we have safeguards in place that we do not ever repeat this again. So, it's not all, pretty roses. There's some thorns involved too. And so that's a thorn that I will always have to remember how it affected her and even the kids. Big culture shock coming. But yeah, it's still Wyoming, but yeah, it was a different set of types of people. And so I have to own that and be very cognizant of and deliberate how we do this, whenever that next time is. We're not declaring anything, but eventually down the road, it's going to happen again. So we have to be very careful how we do that.
Awesome. Thank you for answering a spur of the moment question. And that was awesome, Steve.
Yeah, I think our listeners benefit from that realness and that transparency. And so I appreciate you being forward. I mean, we screw up. We've said before, we're not experts, but we're in the field. And so we want to, bring that to people's phones, to people's computers, whatever they're listening or watching this on. We want to bring that sort of transparency, saying, hey, in Daddyhood, we screw up. And even we do, guests on Daddyhood Rocks or the hosts of Daddyhood Rocks. Yes, even we screw up. So I appreciate your transparency. Now, as we kind of move on towards the end here, what are some of your proudest moments?
Watching different moments of either Rachel or with the kids being successful or achieving, just even Christian being accepted to college or pursuing something that he's passionate about, being accepted in the National Honor Society. Yeah, those are things, but also he's worked hard for that. And quite honestly, it's one of those catch-22s where, some people either at school or even at church, like, what have you guys done? You guys have done it right. And so, no, that's by the grace of God, but okay, at least we have something in place in the home where he can thrive. And he, because he's right now making decisions on his own a lot. He's really a young man. Same with Zoe, where just watching her just smile and laugh. She's right behind the computer right now. So just watching her, I guess the proudest thing is when we have that connection and she just laughs. She has the most awesome laugh. And so you can't trade that for anything. There's no amount of money you can put on that. So proudest moments are those connections and those moments, even those deep talks with Rachel where we're in tune and we're very real and we feel like we're on the same page. And I guess it's hard. Oh, same page, No, when you really experience that and you know what I mean, if you have experienced that, those are things that you can't put a price tag on.
Yeah.
So those are the three things, I guess, with each one of them. Just being able to have that connection with them in a deep way. Those are very special.
Yeah, that's huge. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now, this is a question we ask almost all of our guests. And so you have slight options here.
Okay.
So you can go either direction on this if you wish, or if they're combined. But
Okay.
please recall and retell either like your most embarrassing daddyhood moment or the most disgusting, gross daddyhood moment.
For whatever reason, this still just rings true, and maybe I don't know why. Maybe I'm just so cold that I'm ready to take a vacation somewhere warm. But we were vacationing. I do believe it was in Las Vegas. No, that's not true. It was actually Southern California. And Zoe and Rachel and Christian were already down at the pool, and I was getting ready, and so got in the elevator, had the towel around, and got out, and I ran, and there's the pool, and I ran, and bam, right into the door. They washed it so clean, but I hit it so hard. I mean, it was like bam, and and they just looked at me, and they laughed so hard, and we just giggled for a long time, and I was like just dazed, but it was a lot of fun, but it was also very embarrassing. Okay, it's a close second. I was actually at work, and Christian came to the office, and I can't believe I'm saying this, but I don't care. It is what it is. Christian noticed this, but I had probably an hour or two earlier went to the restroom, and I had tucked my shirt and underwear was exposed. So in other words, the underwear was tucked outside, and the shirt was there, so it was just so exposed, and no one would tell me that it was. So it was total toolbox moment where I malfunction wardrobe, but Christian had the guts to, Dad, your underwear is hanging out. I mean, it was bad. And it was with a tie, shirt and tie and everything, but then there's the underwear hanging out, So it was just, pretty embarrassing.
Good look. Good look.
Wow.
So anyway, those are the two things. So
thank you. And so, and I know, prior to you leaving Craig, Colorado, or even Colorado Springs, you've never been, at least to that point, you've never been like a shirt and tie, button down shirt and tie kind of guy. Just give me, shorts and t-shirt, sweats, whatever. And so, maybe this is a case in point why you've not been a shirt and tie kind of guy.
Exactly. It's bad news. There's always a chance to dribble food down, or the tie's on crooked, or sometimes the buttons are not aligned. I mean, I'm just not very good at dressing myself. Rachel will often do that for me too. So I guess it's another thing just to, I guess there's Ken Davis or is it Tim Hawkins? I forget that sometimes their wives step in and say, you are not leaving the house with those two colors. I think that's Ken Davis actually, but so yeah, I totally relate to that. So yeah, I have issues with clothing choices all the time.
That's awesome. Thank you for having the guts to share that. So
yeah, really I haven't shared that one. Only Christian and Rachel and the business manager at the time that I was working there. Those are the only three that at least saw it that I know of. There could have been visitors that came, or even our secretary might have seen it, but just didn't have the guts to let me know that I had underwear hanging out like no other. So anyway, yeah.
All right.
Fun.
Thank you.
I'm going to play a little game here.
Okay.
All right. Now, Brandon and I have each made each other cry on air once.
Wow.
So we're tied.
Okay.
So I want to hear about Brandon as a brother.
Ooh. Uh-oh. Wow. I guess he was the one that always had not the guts, but had the cool toys. And this is not going to make anybody cry, but I just remember, like, Zoe will have some of her toys, but Christian had the Masters of the Universe, and he had He-Man, and he had G.I. Joe, and I was never creative enough, or
Well, you said Christian. You mean me?
Well, I said Christian. You know what? It's really crazy because sometimes I will start talking to him, but I say Brandon. And so for whatever reason, and you guys don't even, he's not bald like me. He's blonde. I don't even know where that came from, but so I don't know why there's that Brandon and Christian. I get the names mixed up. So it's very common for whatever reason. So Brandon had the cool toys. Why can't believe I said that? Maybe we need to edit that. But anyway, Brandon had the cool toys. He had the Masters of the Universe. He had the G.I. Joe, but we would play a lot. He would allow me to play at least. And so did that. Did I have any toys like that? I don't think I did. You had all the Skull Castle, and so you had the cool stuff, and I just sat there writing in my book about football or something. So I don't know.
I mean, you were pretty serious about football, and even at a young age. And yeah, I don't know. I even remember like one of the biggest momentous occasions ever. So Steve is 2 years older than I am. So I remember I probably like pestered you to make this decision. I probably hounded you until you like gave in, like just so I'd shut up. But you had a huge collection of stuffed animals. And one day you said, okay, go to bed. And when you wake up, sometime in the middle of the night, all of these stuffed animals will be in your room. And so you gave in, I think. And then I pretended to be asleep. And alas, this whole huge pile of stuffed animals came into my room. So even the few things you had that you probably really cared about, you gave to me, the spoiled youngest brother. I don't know.
All right, so I did remember. This is it. This is probably my prized possession moment that's locked away. Only a few people know about it. I know Christian and Rachel, and I don't know if Zoe knows about it or not, but this is a true story. There was a moment where it was right before Easter. It was actually the night, well, maybe it was about a week before Easter. I came into his room, and I even hopped. And he was like sleeping, but I stirred him enough to be able to talk to him. And I'm like, I'm the Easter Bunny, Brandon. Do you believe in me? And he's like, okay, you need to be really well behaved, and I'll get you a nice Easter basket. I'm sure, stuff like that. Okay, I will. All right. And so I was able to, just really play with him, a lot with the mind tricks while he was half asleep, totally defenseless. And I was just enjoying it so much. I thought I was all that. And I think I visited him a couple more times, especially the night of, and just even hopped. I even act the whole thing, So anyway, that was my big thing, being able to rouse you about the Easter Bunny. I wasn't the real deal, obviously, but so it was fun harassing him like that.
What do you mean? I mean, every year the Easter Bunny comes and talks to me. What are you talking about?
I know, I was the imposter for that season anyway.
Oh, that's just hilarious. And I wish I could have been like a fly on the wall, or been able to have a camera to like capture that, because that would have been priceless to see you doing that.
Yeah, and I did it with Christian too. For whatever reason, Rachel and I were going out on a date or whatever, and staying the night. And Christian wanted to sleep in our bed. He was really young at the time. And so Christian remembers this. I don't. He's brought it up like 3 or 4 times in the last year. But I told him, no, you can't sleep in our bed because we have bed bugs. And I know I'm not trying to be insensitive to those that are battling the bed bugs at all, but I use that as the excuse that they'll nibble on you, so you can't sleep on it. And then so he asked one night, because I was sleeping in the bed and everything, and he goes, well, why can't you sleep on it? Because there's bed bugs. I'm like, oh, I grabbed them all up. I put them in a sack, and they're in my trunk. And so he believed it. And so right now he's scarred about bed bugs because, just teasing him about bed bugs. And so I feel bad for him because he just remembers that, about me harassing him about some fake bed bugs. And I don't remember this. But I guess that's maybe a point to, even though we might be playing around or we might be joking or it's not that serious, and I think we can all relate to something in our past as a childhood memory, that some of those things are really big, and they do make either a very positive impression or very negative or even, anxious impression. And for whatever reason, Christian's handling it really well, but there were some mental struggles about bed bugs that I was just joking around having fun. And so even as a teacher in middle school, what have I said in my past that, scarred people, or hopefully I've inspired, my students, but is there anything I've said that's caused harm? So it's one of those things that it's pretty crazy.
Well, I didn't get my tears out of Brandon, but I did get a lot of laughs, so I appreciate that.
So, hey Zoe, how's it going?
She just loves seeing, sometimes with Zoom with my students, she just has to get on. So we're talking about Daddyhood. I'm like trying to, oh no, let's bring her on here.
Yeah, that's perfect.
This is my pride and joy.
That's
she's so
awesome.
special. And again, I'm far from perfect, but we're very blessed, and you're a special girl. So
yeah, absolutely. It is so good to see Zoe. That's so cool. Oh man. Well, so here's the last question. That's going to be an unscripted question, and then we're done.
Sure.
So, especially, you know how for me, one of my kind of off and on passions is doing family history research, and so I think a lot about the concept of legacy, what a parent or parents pass on to their kids, and then what version of that gets passed on to their kids. And so I think it's really cool that we as dads, parents in general, but we as dads, we have the ability to shape that legacy how we want to be able to pass it on. So when you think in terms of legacy, what are some things that you've grabbed a hold of from our mom and dad and that you see yourself passing on to Christian and Zoe?
I think honestly, I think it's a Casting Crowns song it's called Only Jesus. And so that's my own battle as well. I've been striving, trying to get to the next job or to be famous or to get rich or, all of that doesn't matter. Quite honestly, what truly matters is just, it's only Jesus. And so if this is such a vapor, it's just a mist, this life, sometimes it feels like it's a long day or a long week or month or even a decade or whatever, but it's very short time in the grand scheme of eternity. So bottom line, ultimate foundational purpose is the most important choice anybody's going to make, quite honestly, is their decision about Jesus Christ. And I'm not trying to preach, and I'm not trying, and that is the legacy that Zoe and Christian need to have, and they have to make that choice. And I was thinking about that. I was driving today a little bit. I was thinking about John 14:6, and it's the answer that everyone has to answer to. Jesus said this: "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." And that's very qualifying. No one comes to the Father except through me. So do you believe that, or don't you? So there are multiple ways to get to heaven. Well, you just said Jesus is a liar. So what is it? And it's not me. I'm the messenger. Let's focus on the message here about Jesus Christ. And so that's the decision Christian's going to have to make. That's the decision Zoe has to make. And so as parents, it's not for them. It's not daddy's religion or mommy's religion. Now I'm going to say mommy for Christian, but and for Zoe, they have to have their own relationship with Jesus Christ. And it's our responsibility as parents to provide the necessary means to make those decisions and to even stand up for what they believe and for why. I believe this because of this. And so, again, I didn't mean to make it into a church service at all or condemning or anything, but we have to answer that question. Is Jesus a liar or not? Is it true that he is the only way? And that'll change your perspective on Christianity one way or another. And I'm not saying, I know what I believe, but once you realize that first, you have to make a choice one way or another on it and then go with it.
Absolutely. Very well said. Very well put. And there's no greater legacy.
Right. It is the only legacy. And I think that's actually Rachel's mom that, hey, this is a cool song from Casting Crowns. And it did change that perspective. Okay, it's not about me at all. I can claim it's not about me, but here I am trying to get another trophy or get another thing. But at the end of the day, I'm going to be forgotten. It's okay. I just want people to know about Jesus because it's an eternity thing.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well, Steve, how exciting to be able to have you hang out with us and to get your perspective, pick your brain about being a dad. It's been really just very special. So thank you for humoring me on that. Hi, Zoe. And so, Steve, thanks for hanging out. And now, so we're doing this in seasons. Season 1 ends on Father's Day, and then season 2 jumps in. We'll begin that in early fall. So definitely, if you'd be willing, we'd love to have you on again once we jump into season 2. I would love to pick your brain some more if you're so willing.
Sure, whatever you guys want. Just my motivation is just to serve, or just to, if it can help any one person, that's great. Fantastic. Just thank you for thinking of me. I really do appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And John, anything last for you before we wrap up?
No, I mean, I appreciate everything and your transparency, like I said, and I think this is going to be one of my favorite episodes. Just having you guys together and seeing double, it's been fun.
Yeah, we even had that. I remember, like in middle school, like, God bless her soul, but our mom would buy us the same pajamas or same clothes. And we're 2 years apart. We're not twins, but yeah, she sure tried. So it was fine.
A lot of people asked.
Yeah, they sure did. Yeah. Well, I remember one of my classmates. We both leaned to the left just a little bit when we stand, and I was standing, and Brandon came up and stood by me, and this guy was like, "Oh, he leans just like you, Steve." And I'm like, "What?" So we have some very similar characteristics as well. So it is what it is.
All right, Easter Bunny, thank you for hanging out. Enjoy your evening. Enjoy the rest of family time. And Steve, it's great to see you.
Great seeing you guys, and thank you guys for doing this. I think all of us as dads, we always need support, and we need to help each other, and it's a tough job. So I appreciate you guys putting this together and just reaching out to dads everywhere. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, Steve, have a good night. Bye, Zoe. Love you guys, and we'll see you hopefully sooner than later.
All right, thank you guys. See you.
All right, see you.
Bye bye. Oh, do you have a second to talk to Zoe?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, absolutely.
Here, can we unplug this maybe? There you go. They should hear you now.
Hello.
Hey, Zoe, how are you?
Good.
Good. How was your day?
Good.
Awesome. If you had to say, what the best thing was about your day, what was the best thing?
Playing Wii with Dad.
I heard that. Did you beat him? Did you win?
At the last second when Mom and Christian got home, I beat him at the bike race.
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention about the bike race. Yep. She
Good
won.
job, Zoe. Way to go. Very cool.
But I think I got a good arm exercise.
Yeah, it was a good exercise.
Yeah, that's so fun. Well, hey, I hope you have a really good weekend, Zoe. And hey, just every once in a while, just poke your daddy in the ribs or something. See if he's ticklish, okay?
Not tonight, no. Well, I will laugh later, though, for sure.
All right, you guys have a wonderful night, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Bet.
Thank you very much.
Bye, Zoe.
See ya.
See ya. What a great episode. What a great interview with Steve Miller. I am so happy and honored that my brother was able to join us on the Daddyhood Rocks podcast. And I'm so thankful that he was willing to hang out with us. I mean, we're both, fifth graders, especially you, John. But it's all good. And so among tons of things, I mean, there's a laundry list of things that we could say good about Steve Miller. He's humble. He's funny, just all these things, self-controlled.
Hey, wait. Self-controlled?
Absolutely.
Did you exhibit any of that this week, sir?
I can think of one story. Want me to proceed?
Yeah, please.
Again, so we're all doing everything here at the Miller Manor. So wife is teaching school. My two sons are doing school, and I'm giving therapy sessions from the comfort of my little office here, and so my sons were having a moment where they really needed a referee, and a lot of this I could hear that was happening outside while I was trying to do some therapy, so I knew something was going on. Usually, and this is something where I want to grow as a dad, if I hear my sons getting really worked up and angry, I feel myself getting worked up and angry too. And so I finished my session with the client and came downstairs, and the boys were coming into the house. And of course there were tears and angry faces and nasty looks. And there was a switch that was flipped for me, and I was able to take a couple deep breaths and to calm down. And I had the boys sit down with me, and I gave them both the chance to share their perspective, what happened, and I was completely calm and quiet about it. and just was able to get good information and being able to explain, hey, when you respond to anger with more anger, it's like throwing gasoline on the fire pit in the backyard. And it's not a pretty thing. It's not a safe thing. And it definitely doesn't put the fire out. It makes it worse. And so it talked about, hey, a soft answer turns away anger, and just kind of gave them a new perspective. And so we talked through, how to make things right in this situation and how to handle similar frustrations in the future. And there were hugs all around, and moments later they were playing again in just a much better way. And I didn't have to decompress, for an hour later, because I had blown my top. I was able to handle things calmly. So I was really thankful for that switch for me.
That earns you an award this week.
Oh, do tell.
That earns you the Under Control award. You kept things under control, and I give you props, sir.
Why, thank you. I appreciate that. It's, I'm thankful for those moments when I'm able to get my temper and my anger, the boiling point under control. So it makes things a whole lot better. So it's a matter of kind of practicing what you preach, right? So,
absolutely.
So thank you. I gladly take the control under control award. I appreciate that, man.
I'll wait for your speech later.
I'll send it in. I'll record it separately.
Sounds good. We are so incredibly thankful for all of the people that listen and share and watch and just across the gamut do everything for us to be successful. And so thank you to you, our listeners, our watchers. If you could follow, share, big one is share, subscribe. We want to get out to dads across the nation and hopefully across the world and just help them to engage and level up and have fun being a dad. And, the only way we can do that is by your help with sharing. And so if 2 or 3 dads that could listen to this episode right now and get something out of it, take this episode, share it on your Facebook, your Twitter, your Instagram, whatever. Tag us. We've got all of those social media accounts, so tag us. And just get the word out, because we believe that we're doing a great thing here for dads, and we are so thankful that we have some support behind us. So with that said, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching if you watched. Thank you for subscribing if you've already subscribed. We're just so thankful. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yes, and to finish things off, I just want to remind you that Daddyhood rocks.